Alrighty guys, so long time and no talk, no updates, no nothing. It's now Christmas Eve today and it looks like I'm off until the 4th of January from work. So I might be able to get a bit done here. I have a list in my pocket of the jobs that need to be done. Just a little background for you guys. This is a W124 estate with the 300 TE engine fitted, so that's the M103. Nice engine, but you just couldn't fuel it. And if you want to get into any kind of power thing, you're talking about getting an injector system and everything like that fitted rather than the factory fitted injector system, which is problematic on these at the best of times. So I have got an OM606 underneath the cover here that I've done a very small amount of work, just basically cleaning it up and a couple of head studs and stuff. If you want to see any of that kind of stuff, it's all in videos previously. So my plan over the next couple of weeks is, or the next 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks actually, is to really crack on with this as much as I can. Obviously I can't come up here Christmas Day. And I can't be working up here the whole time when my missus is off and everything, because we need to have family life as well. So the idea being that I will work on this. There's about a week or just shy of a week where the child will go back to the childminder, and my missus will be back at work, and I'll be able to crack on with this, and I'm going to do little bits here and there in between that. Just to give you an idea, guys, I started a new job. I'm an old guy. I'm not old, but I'm old for the job I started. I started as an apprentice electrician only recently, and I am 33, I think. Yeah, 33. And yeah, so I started as an apprentice electrician, so it's a long out slog at the moment with that. The hours are long and everything like that. All that kind of thing is getting in the way of me getting in here and working on this. So that's the reason why I really was considering at one stage just to leave that 300 TE engine in it, drop it down. It's near, you know what I mean? It's at the point now where there's a couple of hours, or a few hours, maybe a day's work in it, and it would be ready to go as it is with that 300 TE engine in it. And I was really considering that, and was actually going to go for it and everything, and was still hemming and hawing because I knew that I wouldn't be able to fuel it on a daily basis with that 300 TE engine. I was thinking about doing an LPG conversion, but previous experience with LPG conversions are that the car doesn't last too much longer after you convert it to LPG. The heads normally give up. I think there is a science behind that. I don't know the science behind it. I think there's something to do with fuel softening the impact of the pistons or the valves, and LPG not having the same effect. I don't know the full science. I was just told this. But anyway, I do find that LPG eats through engines very quick. So I was really considering keeping this engine, except for the fact I won't be able to fuel it. And then somebody bought the engine. So that was brilliant. I was really happy about that, because they made the mind up for me, if you know what I mean. And then I committed to it, and I said, look, I'm going to commit to having this engine out for you over the Christmas holidays. And that means he can then crack on with his project during the new year, or after, in the new year. So that put a timeline on things, which is what I needed to kind of get going at, I think. So yeah, so it's fantastic. So he bought the engine from this. I have the new engine to go in here. So I have a whole list of jobs that I need to do on this car, and I'm sure there is a hell of a lot more that I've yet to mention or yet to know of, if you know what I mean. So on the rear, I won't be starting with the rear, but on the rear I have to refresh I have numbered here as well. This is point 0.05. I obviously added this in at the at the end. I realised I had to do this, so I had to put it in as 0.05 of a note. It wasn't note number 1. So 0.05 is refresh the rear axles, as in I've got the CV joints there for the or the CV boots and everything like that, and repack new grease into it, everything like that. So those rear axles go in like with that. Put the rear axles in, obviously, number 1. Number 2, brakes, left and right, both the discs, calipers, and the drum brake. Reconnect the prop with this donut. So that's very simple. The back doesn't need that much. As you know, if you've been following the series, I've done a lot of work in the back already. So the front is obviously the longest list. So what I have to get done over the Christmas holidays is I have to get the engine out. That 300T engine has to come out. Obviously, at the same time, you're going to be taking out aircon, you're going to be taking all those fans out, everything like that's going to come out of the car. And then it's going to be a case of cleaning that engine bay and making sure it's all nice and presentable. If there's any exposed metal, I'll treat it and give it a little paint up. I have to change out the steering linkages. Yeah, there's one, the main steering linkage, the central one. I have a replacement there, this one here. And that goes from the middle straight across, if you know what I mean. Handier to do it when the engine's out. Could have been done a while ago, but with the engine out, it's the handiest thing. Oh yes, I have to change the accelerator cable. That's number 4. Once the engine's out, cleaned up, and the linkages are done, the accelerator cable has to be changed to suit a diesel one. Straight after that, I will wire in the glow plug relay system. I don't know. I'm hoping that I might be able to I don't know. Look, the simplest thing with time constraints and everything like that is to wire it to the switch, forgo the light on the dash, and just know yourself when you start it up that you got, a 30-second relay there glowing the plugs. Like my Jeep there has a push button system. It's not that big of a deal. Once you get used to it, you have to push the button. In this, the relay will be connected, but the light won't be on the dash. Not a big deal. I can change out, I have the binnacles there to change it out to a lower mileage example as well at the same time. I just don't know if I want to bother. So, glow plug relay set up. I want to finish off that OM606 cooling mod under here. I've ordered a load of different. My problem was that everything I was getting was adapted. So it was a BSP, because all hose connections are BSP or imperial connections, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, all that kind of stuff. So I was getting loads of them, and I had to put them through an adapter, and then suddenly my spacer would be out way too far, and the alternator wouldn't fit back on. So that was a big issue. So what I've managed to find was a couple of 90s, a couple of straight on pieces that are M18 and M16 as well, 1.5 pitches. So I might be able to make some of that work, hopefully. I'm paying through the nose for these. At this stage, I would have been better off just going to Diesel Pump UK and buying their kit. But anyway, that's, you live and learn. The OM6, oh yes. So I'm going to put them, after that, the OM606 needs to go in the bay once that cooling mod is done. Now, I'm waiting on shipping for those bits, so that might not get done over Christmas. I'm really hoping it will. I might even refit it and just do it in the engine bay if I'm waiting too long, which I prefer to do it obviously on the stand. The rad and aircon needs to be fitted, obviously, all that. The new rad, obviously, the upgraded one. I need to get the transmission service. I have a service kit there for the transmission. The same transmission has been used inside here. This is the original one. It may give me an issue on the motorway. It might be too high a revs on the motorway. I don't know. I'll find out. And then at a later stage, I can always put in the more advanced 722.6 gearbox. So that's That's point number 9. Number 10 is I need to then make the accelerator linkages work. So I have the naturally aspirated 606's accelerator cable and the linkages from the donor card I took a load of parts from, where I got the pump for this. So those linkages fit onto a naturally aspirated intake manifold. We have the turbo intake manifold, so I think we're going to have to bore a hole through one of these flat areas. Might even be that one, I don't think it is. that one where there's already a hole. I think it's this one here. I have to cut a hole through that, and then I'm going to have to make a little bracket to come out of the top of the engine cover that will hold the linkages. So that would be a nice, interesting one to do. A bit scary, but hey ho. Then final thing after all that is I have to do the front, not final thing, sorry, that's only number 10. Do the front brakes, one caliper there, and then there's also because I'm tapering into the same brake pipe, I have to use my DIN connection, or DIN rail flare, DIN pipe flare tool. Sorry, I'm mixing between different terminologies that I got. So that will make a nice little proper joint, if you know what I mean on that. That's front brakes. Obviously, oil and filters and stuff into the car. And then I also, somewhere in between that, and I didn't make a note of it, I'm going to have to figure out my my intercooler setup. So I have those two 300 ZX intercoolers that I'll be able to fit in here. I'll have to cut back significantly back here to fit that in behind here. A nice neat setup. A lot of people have voiced opinions on this that they don't like that setup. I understand those reasons too. I still haven't decided what I'm going to do. I really want to be able to fit the aircon, so I want to be able to leave the car looking like this essentially. And it would be stealthy, yes, but that's not really the reason. The reason is I want to have aircon because we will be using this car, if all goes well, for going across Europe and France during the summers, and that kind of thing, family vacations. And the last thing I want to have is a dog, a child and a wife in the car and it's sweltered hot. And I've been there, I've done that, except for the child part. We were in France one year and it was 38 degrees centigrade and we had no aircon. And we were driving all around France. It was not nice. I mean, it was lovely getting out and driving, all that part of it was lovely. And it was lovely in the evenings and in the mornings and stuff like that. But then during the middle of the day, it was just torture. So that's an update, guys. We're going to basically start in the front, sort out all the front side of things, even get the engine in. Once the engine's in, I'm hoping there'll be a lot of fire behind me just to finish the whole thing off. We'll come back to the rear later on because there's no way we can, once the engine's in and it's all up and the fire should be behind me enough to just power through on this. We're going into January too, so it's a dark month and everything like that. I would still probably be working quite hard and everything like that, but I'm hoping there might be some encouragement for me to just go out and get a bit of this work done. Basically, I'm just dealing with the fact that when I started into this apprenticeship as an electrician, that's taking a lot of my energy levels and my mindset. I'm thinking about it a lot to try and get better at doing that job. So because I'm thinking of trying to get better at doing that job, my mind can't go to working on the car at the moment. So that's the rundown of it. So that obviously once your mind gets used to the new job and everything like that, and you start to get into a rhythm and everything like that, and you're not trying to learn as much, as in you've gotten acquired knowledge to a point where you're really happy and you're kind of coasting through it. At that stage, possibly projects like this will start going up. You know what I mean? I'll have all this pent up energy that I want to put somewhere, and I'll put it into these. So this car might be out there by that point. But my Pajero has to come back in here. We reckon we've probably got another year before we have to get that back in here because there's rust showing around the windshield. And it's such a nice example of a Pajero. I would just like to get that, keep that from getting really bad. So there's rust forming around the windshield. There's rust forming around the rear window. The front bumper, as you've seen when I worked on it last, that needs to be changed. The rear bumper needs to be the same. There's two panels on it, needs to be the same. So there's a bit of rust repair on that. And then also I've got a lovely leather interior to go into it properly. The fan needs to be done on it. There's a few jobs I mean, the internal fan isn't the blower. Motor needs to be done on it. So there's a few different jobs. The windshield probably needs to be replaced because it's delaminating in a corner. So there's a few jobs to go on that Pajero as well. But hopefully that Pajero will go up on this lift. If you can imagine, this one will be on the road. So yeah, sorry, that video is after ramping on a long time, but hopefully you stuck with me and you can see where we're going with this, and we will crack on over the next few days. Appreciate you watching, guys. Thanks. Bye.